What's going on YouTube? My name is Louie and welcome back to a brand new Pokemon TCG video here on the channel. I'm gonna be real with you guys, but is this deck classified as stall? So stall decks to me in the past have always been cleaning up damage that they have on them, disrupting your opponent and making your opponent waste their resources. Well, this deck can do all of that, but it can also hit very hard. So can it actually be considered a stall deck? I'm not entirely too sure there. But of course, today's deck showcase is Celebi and VENUSAUR GX from the new Team Up set. And this card in general by itself is beefy. You guys will see right now. Well, actually, let's get right into it. So Celebi and VENUSAUR GX, 270 HP, a grass type Pokemon. First attack is Pollen Hazard for 1 grass and 2 colorless, does 50 damage. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now burned, confused, and poisoned. So that means in between turns, they're at least going to be taking 30 damage, 20 from burn and 10 from poison. Now, of course, they could always clear up the burn damage, but they will be confused. So that means when they attack, or if they attack, they have to flip to see if they can actually attack or if they take 30 more damage. Then again, if your opponent is starting off a little slow and your Pokemon has a small basic with not a lot of HP, this tends to be more than enough damage needed to take something like that out. Second attack is going to be for 2 grass, 2 colorless. Solar Beam does 150 damage with a lot of things in the format. You know, trying to play a little bit of smaller HP things. It's weird. You play smaller HP Pokemon or you play like humongous HP Pokemon. So it really depends on the situation. But Solar Beam for 150 is quite a bit of good damage right there. And then Evergreen GX for 2 grass, 2 colorless, plus, depends on the rest of the ability or effect, 180 damage is enough to knock out things like Tapu Lele GX, which is an important thing because it's a very crucial card that a lot of decks tend to play. I don't know if they want to play it, but they tend to play it. Let's take a look at what Evergreen does here. Heal all damage from this Pokemon. If this Pokemon has at least 1 extra grass energy attached to it, in addition to this attack's cost, shuffle all cards from your discard pile into your deck. That is crazy. Just imagine you're playing your game, you use up a lot of your resources, or maybe you're even going to deck yourself out. Very, very hard to do in this deck, but maybe you're about to do that. Evergreen GX with 5 energies, making 3 of those grass, is gonna be crucial because you guys are gonna be able to pretty much shuffle everything back. It's like if you guys are starting the game right over for yourself, not for your opponent, of course. It is weak to fire type, and like I've mentioned in videos before, I guess really just Blacephalon, which kind of seen a little bit of lower gameplay recently because of people wanting to play other stuff. And then Charizard, I guess, is another option as well, but then again, Charizard hasn't seen play. It's one of the better Charizards we've had in a very, very long time, but still does not get play. Has a 4 retreat cost. This is beefy, but we'll get that, and we'll get into that in a little bit, of course. And then, of course, GX, the Tag Team GX cards do have a clause that if they do get knocked out, your opponent takes 3 prize cards. So it's not something that we want Celebi and VENUSAUR to get knocked out. But the thing is, this deck is all focused on healing up all that damage, or as much as it possibly can. And for that, we have a little bit of support Pokemon in the form of Shaman, 70 HP, Grass type, only here for the ability Floral Heal. Once during your turn before you attack, you may heal 20 damage from your opponent's from your active Grass Pokemon, not your opponent's, from yours. Weak to fire, of course, and a 1 retreat cost. We are playing 4 copies of the Shaman. Imagine having all 4 on the bench. That's healing 80 damage every turn. Every turn. But let's take a look at some other cards that are in this deck, primarily like the stadium cards. We're playing 1 copy of Life Force Prism Star. Once during each player's turn, that player may heal 60 damage and remove all special conditions from one of their grass Pokemon. So this is ridiculous. If you have this along with 4 Shamans, that's 140 damage that you are clearing up off of your Celebi and VENUSAUR GX. However, if somehow your Celebi and VENUSAUR is either poisoned, burned, confused, paralyzed, asleep, Life Florist is here to just clear all that special conditions up, which is really, really cool. And that's probably why there's you're only available to have 1 of these guys in your deck. For other stadiums, we are playing 2 copies of Aether Paradise Conservation Area, basic grass Pokemon, and electric Pokemon. Take 30 less damage from attacks. So that's also crucial. Pretty much thinking about it, this Celebi and Venusaur would have 300 HP if you have an Aether Conservation Area into play. And then going into supporter cards, we're playing 3 copies of Acerola. Again, this goes along with making sure that your opponent can't really knock out Celebi and Venusaur. Put one of your Pokemon that has any damage counters on it and all cards attached to it into your hand. So that's going to be very, very crucial to make sure that doesn't happen. 3 copies of Cynthia, shuffle your hand into your deck, then draw 6 cards. Shuffle draw is always great. Guzma, 3 copies, switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active. If you do, switch your active with one of your benched. 2 copies of Judge, each player shuffles their hand into their deck and draws 4 cards. And then 3 copies of Louiee, draw cards until you have 6 cards in your hand, and if it's your first turn, draw cards until you have 8 cards in your hand. Very, very crucial here. If I were to play any other supporter, it'd probably be Louiee to make sure I get my Aether's Conservation Areas back into my hand, or maybe to get some more Acerolas back into my hand. So that's an option that you guys can run there as well. But going into the item cards, we talked about disrupting a little bit earlier today. 4 copies of Crushing Hammer. Flip a coin. If heads, discard an energy from one of your opponent's Pokemon. So if your opponent's playing, like, if they're trying to set up something on the back that might potentially do a lot of damage to you, you can go ahead and just Crushing Hammer and make sure you clear that up. Of course, you have to land the heads. If not, oh well, you have 3 more in the deck, right? And then, of course, like I said, you know, the GX attack, if you use it correctly, you can also shuffle these guys back in. So potentially you'll have 8 Crushing Hammers available for you in this entire game. 1 copy of Field Blower. This is not a card that you guys, a lot of people see. You choose up to 2 in any combination of Pokemon Tool cards and Stadium cards in play and discard them. And this is important. Why? Because a lot of people aren't playing this. A lot of people are playing things like bodybuilding dumbbells, choice bands, anything that pretty much you can put on a Pokemon. We don't really have to worry about stadiums in play because we have our own stadiums to win those battles. But like any cards that either modify damage or modify the HP a Pokemon has, we would want to get rid of that so our Venusaur and Celebi can do a lot of damage there. Which is really crucial. Plus, you know, I guess if you're playing against Tool Drop, it helps in that fight as well. Just quick, I'm going to throw it out there. I did actually just upload a Tool Drop video last time, so if you guys haven't seen it, go make sure to check that out. I promise you it's a good one. Well, actually, I don't know if it's a good one, but check it out anyway. 4 copies of Nest Ball. Search your deck for a basic Pokemon, put it onto your bench, then shuffle your deck. 4 copies of Net Ball. Search your deck for a basic Grass Pokemon or a basic or a Grass Energy card and reveal it and put it into your hand. Shuffle your deck. Then we're playing 4 copies of Ultra Ball. Discard 2 cards from your hand. If you do, search your deck for a Pokemon, reveal it, and put it into your hand. Really, really crucial there. Making sure that you have all the cards needed to, it's not a combo, but to make sure you heal all the damage. 2 copies of Switch. Switch your active Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. Sometimes people tend to Guzma or Escape Rope something like a Shaman into the active to try to stall or try to KO and things like that. Switch is your way of getting your Celebi and Venusaur back in the active. Then we're playing 1 copy of Weakness Policy. This Pokemon this card is attached to has no weakness. Imagine attaching this to a Celebi and Venusaur against your opponent's Blacephalon or Charizard. If they don't run Field Blower, which people should start probably beginning to run again, yeah, this is staying the entire game, and your opponent's not. It's not going to have a fun time trying to knock out the Celebi and Venusaur. And finally, we are playing 3 copies of Buff Padding. This is a very, very interesting card from Team Up. If the Pokemon this card is attached to has a retreat cost of exactly 4, which the Celebi and Venusaur GX does, it gains 50 plus HP. 50 plus HP. If you think about it, Celebi and Venusaur GX in the active with a Buff Padding, with Aether Conservation Area into play. Basically, Celebi and Venusaur has 350 HP. That is ridiculous. Your opponent's not getting that anytime soon. Anytime soon. Hence the reason why you're probably looking into playing your own stadiums or looking into playing things like Field Blower to make sure that stuff like this does not happen. But that's it for the pretty much the item cards that we're running today. As for the energy, we're playing 8 basic grass energies and 4 double colorless energy. So, of course, that is the attack cost of Celebi and VENUSAUR. But it looks like that's going to be a wrap for today's video. Make sure to drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I do shiny hunting reactions here on the channel, along with Wi-Fi battles and TCG content. So if you guys are into that, make sure you sub. It means a lot to me. So I'm aiming for 1,000 subscribers by my birthday in July, so I want to see if that's possible. But that's going to be it for today's video. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.